Stop everything and listen. I do not care what distractions whisper at you from the corners of life. I do not care what tasks await, what doubts murmur, what excuses you've dressed up as responsibilities. You must hear this now, not tomorrow, not later, now. Because the world you seek to build is already watching to see if you'll finally believe what heaven already decided. You were chosen. Not picked from a crowd like a lottery, not given a random gift. You were chosen by design, by intelligence, by the same force that hung the stars and breathed life into the rose. And if you walk past this message like it's just another stirring of wind, you will wander another year in silent frustration, asking questions that have already been answered, searching for permission that was granted before you were born. You say you're waiting for a sign, this is it. You say you're not sure what God thinks of you, this is it. You say you don't know if you're qualified, I say you were called, and what is called must now be claimed. Do you understand what happens when a man ignores the call? He doesn't just miss opportunity, he forfeits his divine appointment. I've seen men do it, brilliant men, talented men. Men who could have led nations, fed thousands, built legacies, but instead chose the lie of delay, the comfort of doubt, the safety of the familiar. And so they died with their power still buried beneath their indecision. You think God says yes with thunder? No, he whispers it in your gut and waits to see if you will obey without applause. The man who hears that yes and walks forward, he becomes unstoppable. But the man who needs everyone to agree before he moves, he is already defeated. So I ask you right now, will you continue drifting? Or will you sit up, focus your spirit, and say with every fiber of your being, God already said yes, now I move as if it's done. This is your turning point. This is your line in the sand. This is the moment you stop pretending that the fire inside you is random. It is not. It is a signal. And today, it demands a response. Now sit still, be silent, and hear every word that follows as if heaven itself is instructing you, because it is. Stop thinking like you are ordinary. Stop moving like you are random. Stop waiting like you are forgotten. You were not born by accident. You were sent into this world by the will of infinite intelligence, breathed into being by design, not by default. You were chosen before you were known, before you were doubted, before you even knew what doubt was. Most men walk the earth like orphans. They believe they must earn their right to exist. They act like they must buy their place in the world with suffering and shame. But that lie ends now. Because the truth is this: you were not a mistake. You were not overlooked. You were chosen, not because of your works, but because of your worth. Your design was divine, yet divine design is not enough. A man must recognize it, claim it, and walk in it. Many are born with favor, but die as failures. Why? Because they waited for permission instead of obeying the call. They asked men for approval when God had already said yes. The voice of your Creator is not a voice of hesitation. It is a voice of command. It does not say, if you feel ready. It says, go. And only those who move forward without seeing the full staircase will ever walk into the fullness of their calling. Repeat this aloud until it becomes your creed. I act like God has already said yes. I no longer wait for permission. Let me tell you of a man who lived this way. He was mocked. He was ridiculed. He was told he was foolish for believing he could put the masses on wheels. His name was Henry Ford, and though he had no formal education, no great inheritance, and no applause from the world, he moved forward. He acted like his assignment had already been stamped in heaven, and because he believed, the world followed. You must do the same. God's favor is not a conclusion, it is a beginning. It is not proof of what you've done. It is a declaration of what you're supposed to do. But it is only activated when you walk in obedience. You cannot tiptoe into your purpose. You must step into it with full conviction. So many men die with the seal of greatness still unbroken inside them, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they refused to believe they had already been chosen. Do not insult your Creator by living like an accident. The time to agree with heaven is now. You are not a seed in the wind. You are not a product of fate. You are not waiting for a divine vote. The decision was already made. You were not placed here to wait for confirmation. You were placed here to confirm your calling by walking in it. Let me be plain. If you deny your calling, you insult your Creator. If you hesitate, you delay the divine plan. There is a generation behind you that will rise or fall based on your obedience. If you fail to act, they will inherit confusion. If you walk in power, they will inherit faith. That is the weight of being chosen. It is not about personal success. It is about legacy, assignment, and spiritual accountability. A no from man means nothing when heaven already decreed yes before your birth. When infinite intelligence breathed into your lungs, the seal was set. The only variable is your decision to live as if the stamp is real. Your name was called in the silence. Your purpose was written before time. And the only question that remains is this: will you rise as if the choice has already been made? Or will you continue to wait for man to say what God has already declared? Everything changes the moment you act like it's done. Say it again. I act like God has already said yes. You were not born to negotiate your worth. You were not made to audition for favor. You were created to carry a purpose that only you can fulfill. And if you do not step into it, the absence will echo through eternity. Now walk as if the assignment is written on your bones. Speak as if the command was carved into your heart. Build as if heaven is watching, because it is. And let this truth become the foundation of your transformation. You were chosen the day you were born. Now act like it. The man who waits for proof before he moves is doomed to live with nothing but wishes. Faith is not the slave of evidence. It is the sovereign that commands unseen forces to obey. The universe does not demand your understanding before it delivers. It requires your obedience before it opens the doors. True faith is action without the sight of the full path. It is walking through darkness with the conviction that light awaits. It is moving before you see the ladder, because you trust the hand that placed the first rung. This is the difference between the chosen and the cautious. Say this aloud. I obey before I understand. I move before I see. I believe because God said yes. Speak it until your blood accepts it as law, until your subconscious mind begins to obey the command. Consider Thomas Edison, a man who pursued the electric light through 1,000 failures and the laughter of skeptics. He moved without evidence, holding fast to faith as if the victory were already his. And indeed it was. His faith bent the invisible world to his will. The law of success rewards bold obedience. To obey is to prove your belief. Hesitation betrays it. Doubt denies it. Obedience is the currency that buys favor in the marketplace of miracles. Without it, you are bankrupt before you begin. Beware the temptation to delay obedience because of fear. Fear is the thief of action and the enemy of faith. The man who lets fear dictate his steps is choosing disobedience, and disobedience breaks the chain of blessing. Your definite chief aim is your divine commandment. Choose it now. Move toward it every day, even if the road is dark, even if the world doubts, because evidence always follows faith-based decision. The moment you move, the universe rearranges itself to make a path. Affirm this truth. The vision is already mine. I am simply catching up to it. Do not wait for signs. Do not wait for confirmation. Walk as if you are already inside the future you seek. This is the way of the chosen. They do not linger in the shadows of uncertainty. They move with urgency. They trust the invisible. They obey the inner command before the outer proof appears. Obedience precedes evidence. Faith must be lived before it is seen. If you desire to live as one God has chosen, you must walk in obedience now. You must move when you have no map. You must speak when you have no proof. You must decide before you see. This is not recklessness. It is the highest wisdom. because the world belongs to the man who commands his own future, not the man who waits for permission. So rise now, decide now, move now, because the moment you obey, the universe obeys. God's favor is not an open invitation. It is a seed sown in the fertile soil of your decision. Without your deliberate choice, the seed withers and dies unused. The day you choose to walk in alignment with your calling is the day the invisible hand begins to work on your behalf. But until that decision is made and acted upon, divine favor remains dormant. Most men fail not because they lack the blessing of infinite intelligence, but because they hesitate to declare their purpose with finality. They drift between choices, vacillate between fear and faith, and live as if they have more than enough time to find certainty. But God's favor cannot rest upon the double-minded. Say this aloud and make it your daily anthem. I decide without delay. I act without apology. I believe without hesitation. This is no mere phrase. It is a contract with your soul and with the law of the universe. The man who decides is the man who moves mountains. The man who hesitates is crushed beneath them. Consider the story of Napoleon Bonaparte. When he landed on foreign shores to begin his campaign, he did something remarkable. He burned his ships behind him. He removed the possibility of retreat. Victory was not just a hope. It was his only option. This is the power of decision. It transforms a man's mind and shapes his destiny. God cannot work through a double-minded man. The indecisive man delays favor, invites chaos, and becomes his own enemy. The man who is definite and committed becomes a beacon for opportunity. He becomes dangerous, not to others, but to his own limitations. You must remove all plan Bs. You must cut off every escape route. You must act like your very soul depends on your decision, because it does. The moment you commit fully, you seal your alliance with infinite intelligence. Walk like a man who cannot lose. For the man who truly walks with divine favor acts with an unshakable confidence, even when the world shouts otherwise. This confidence is not arrogance. It is obedience to the divine appointment you have accepted. But be warned, indecision is a silent rebellion against God's assignment. It is the thief of time, the enemy of faith, and the destroyer of vision. It masquerades as caution, but is in truth fear dressed in polite clothing. The chosen man is not one who is perfect. He is the one who moves with courage in the direction of his purpose. He falls, he rises, he stumbles, but he never surrenders his decision. His soul is a fortress built on determination. Exercise this power now. Write your definite chief aim as if it were a divine instruction, not a mere wish. Post it where you will see it daily. Read it aloud morning and night. Let it sink into every fiber of your being until it is as real as the air you breathe. Every moment spent away from your purpose is a moment lost forever. Every delay invites the shadows of doubt to grow, and every hesitation weakens the link between you and your destiny. To delay your decision is to delay your destiny. Remember, the universe respects the man who commands. It responds to the man who declares. Your decision is a spiritual declaration, a public act of faith that sets the wheels of favor in motion. Think not that this decision is easy. It is the hardest thing a man can do. To cut away the safety nets, to burn the ships, to close the doors behind you, and walk forward blind, this requires a fierceness of spirit few possess. But the reward for that fierceness is beyond measure. Say now, I decide once and for all. I remove all hesitation. I act as if my soul depends on it, because it does. Know this, indecision is the breeding ground of regret. It is the mother of missed opportunities and wasted talents. The man who delays decides to remain ordinary. The man who commits decides to become legend. The world may call you reckless. They may whisper that you are foolhardy, but heed not the crowd that fears your fire. The man who fears nothing is feared by all who fear. The man who decides boldly reshapes worlds. You were not created to be timid. You were not designed to flinch. You were born to lead, to build, to break barriers, and to rule with faith. Remove doubt as a man removes weeds from a field. Destroy it before it can choke the promise in your heart. Destroy hesitation before it poisons your mind. The man who moves with unwavering decision walks with divine armor. The moment you decide, your mind bends, your will hardens, your steps quicken. Your faith becomes a magnet for the tools, the people, and the circumstances needed for your victory. Look again to history. How many great men faltered at the crossroad of decision? How many gave up when the moment demanded finality? And how many others, just a breath braver, stepped forward and claimed the mantle? Your time is now. Your decision is the key. Your obedience is the lock. Make this your vow. I choose my purpose now. I remove all plan Bs. I move as the man who cannot lose. When you do, you will know the strange peace of a man who has handed his future over to infinite intelligence and received a promise in return. Your God-given favor now walks with you. Your path is set. Your destiny awaits. The chosen man walks differently, not with arrogance, but with an unshakable certainty. His posture speaks before his words. His steps carry weight beyond his years. He does not slouch beneath the weight of doubt. He stands tall because he knows his favor has been sealed by divine intelligence. How you carry yourself reveals what you believe about your place in the world. The man who believes he is forgotten will walk like a ghost, his shoulders bowed, eyes downcast, voice unsure. But the man who believes he has been chosen walks with conviction, as one who carries heaven's mandate. He does not explain himself. He does not apologize. He commands respect simply by his bearing. Say it aloud. I walk like I have already won. I speak like I carry heaven's mandate. Make this your daily posture, not just in body, but in mind and spirit. For the world reads your attitude as clearly as your speech. Look to Abraham Lincoln. Before he was the great emancipator, he was doubted, mocked, and nearly broken by life. Yet he carried the burden of a divided nation with a quiet strength. He walked as if the fate of a country rested upon his shoulders, because it did. Lincoln did not seek approval. He did not ask for permission. He moved with deliberate purpose and calm authority, refusing to shrink before opposition. His posture was one of obedience to a higher calling, and that obedience gave him power no enemy could take. You must carry yourself the same way. No shrinking, no begging, no retreat. Speak your vision clearly and carry it like law. Your every action must declare to the world that your purpose is not negotiable. Divine favor is not loud or flashy. It is still and focused. It is persistence that does not announce itself, but always arrives at the appointed time. It is a quiet power beneath the surface that shapes circumstances and bends wills. The world respects the man who respects himself. If you disrespect your calling by walking weakly, you invite others to disrespect you as well. But if you stand with moral power, with self-command, with faith that shines through your very presence, you become an immovable pillar. I challenge you now. Speak with more weight. Carry your head higher. Walk with broader steps. Look the world in the eye with the certainty of a man who cannot fail. Your confidence is not arrogance. It is your acknowledgement of the divine selection upon you. Beware this. The man who questions his value will forfeit it. You must believe your own worth before the world ever will. Confidence is a declaration, a prayer, a law. It precedes opportunity and invites it near. Practice this daily. When you rise in the morning, stand before the mirror and see not your doubts, but your destiny. Speak the words, I am chosen, I am anointed, I walk in favor, I carry the mantle of purpose. Remember, to carry yourself like the chosen is to live in obedience to that fact. It requires discipline. It requires silence in the face of noise. It requires courage when fear tempts. But those who endure in posture and spirit become forces of nature. You may be tempted to hide, to explain, to lower your head in humility that is false. Resist it. Your humility is not in hiding, but in serving. Your strength is not in silence, but in speaking truth, first to yourself, then to the world. The posture of the chosen man is a spiritual weapon. It silences critics. It rallies allies. It commands the unseen. It transforms inner fear into outer power. When you carry yourself like you cannot fail, the very earth seems to open a path for you. Stand now, shoulders back, eyes forward, heart steady, and move with the certainty that your steps are ordered by a higher power. You do not need the approval of men to walk like you are destined. You need only the command of God within you. This is not vanity, it is not arrogance, it is obedience. You were chosen. Act like it, walk like it, speak like it. Favor is not given for decoration. It is entrusted for service. The man who is chosen to serve more, not less. This is a divine principle, ancient as creation itself. Prosperity flows to the man who lifts burdens, solves problems, and renders useful service with enthusiasm and excellence. Your success will be measured by the size of the burden you are willing to carry, the number of souls you are willing to uplift, and the quality of service you offer. The chosen man does not seek comfort or praise. He seeks opportunity to serve because he knows that every service sown is a seed that will multiply in due season. Say this aloud. I serve with excellence. I work as one sent. I build like I've been trusted with the future. Make this your creed. Let it become the very foundation of your daily labor. Andrew Carnegie, who started with nothing but ambition and faith, elevated men who served more than they were paid for. He sought those men not merely for skill, but because their willingness to serve multiplied their worth exponentially. They were men of destiny, bound by service and faith. Do not wait to be paid before you give your best. The man who waits is already late. The universe pays in divine currency, interest upon interest, and the first deposit is service rendered without reservation. Give your best quietly, humbly, and with joy. This is how you honor the divine appointment you have been given. Identify now whom you serve. Is it your employer, your family, your community, your industry, your purpose? Increase the quality and intensity of that service. Do it silently, without complaint, without seeking applause. Do it because you are chosen and sent. Favor is multiplied through work. You do not attract promotion by wishing, you attract it by preparing. You show God you're ready by doing faithfully what is in front of you, even if it is unseen by others. The faithful servant is the first to receive the kingdom. Take one area of your life today and exceed every expectation. Do more than what is asked. Give more than what is expected. Raise the standard of your work so high that it becomes impossible to ignore. Make excellence your new baseline. Say with power, because I serve with power, I attract promotion without asking. Speak this until it becomes your identity. Know this, service is not weakness. It is strength cloaked in humility. It is leadership disguised as obedience. The man who serves more is the man who leads. The one who gives without counting is the one who multiplies without limit. Remember the story of a young stenographer who earned $15 a week. By serving with more diligence and excellence than any of her colleagues, by giving her employer more than was paid for, she rose in a few short years to earn a fortune greater than most men in her town. What changed her fortune was not luck, but the law of service. The world is starving for usefulness, for men and women who will carry the weight of progress without complaint, for those who will innovate, improve, and serve. And when you become that person, prosperity will seek you. Your value in the marketplace is not measured by degrees or titles, but by the amount of useful service you render. If you are not valuable, you will not be compensated. If you are not serving, you will not be rewarded. Challenge yourself today. Serve beyond what is comfortable. Stretch beyond what is convenient. Sacrifice the minimum in favor of the maximum. Serve as if you have already been paid in full. Let this service be your silent proclamation to the universe. I am ready. I am worthy. I am faithful. Understand this deeply. Prosperity is a spiritual reward for the man who lifts burdens from others. Every act of generosity, every moment of diligence, every sacrifice made in faith builds a reservoir of favor. And when you finally need it, that reservoir will not run dry. Money is not the root of all evil. It is the fruit of useful service faithfully rendered. To despise wealth is to despise the law that governs life itself. To resent success is to reject the blessings intended for you. If you act with faith, obedience, and excellence in your service, you will become a magnet for all that is good. The world will open doors. Opportunities will appear. Friends will gather. And your prosperity will grow beyond your imagining. You do not need to chase riches. You need to become so valuable that riches are compelled to follow. Remember, every mighty empire, every great fortune, every lasting legacy began with a single man or woman who decided to serve with faith and power. They took up the burden no one else would bear. They gave without fear or hesitation. You must now join their ranks. You must become a man sent on assignment. Your assignment is service, rendered with excellence, faith, and persistence. Today, exceed expectation in one area of your life. Let your service speak for itself. Let your obedience be your testimony. Let your faith shine through your work. Say this once more. I serve because I am chosen. I give because I am favored. I prosper because I am faithful. Move now. Serve with all your heart. And watch as divine favor multiplies your efforts beyond measure. Divine favor is not given lightly, nor is it meant to be squandered. It is fragile, like a flame in a tempest. A single careless word, a doubt spoken in secret, or a poisonous thought allowed to linger can unravel years of momentum. You must guard your mind like a king guards his crown, with fierce vigilance and unyielding discipline. The circle you keep determines the destiny you forge. The minds you invite into your confidence shape your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your success. If you allow doubt, complaint, and small-mindedness into your presence, you water weeds in the garden of your soul. Say this with resolve. I am ruthless about my circle. I protect my purpose with silence and separation. Let this be your shield and your standard. Consider Thomas Edison, a man who could have been crushed by the cacophony of skeptics, critics, and small thinkers. Instead, he surrounded himself with those who shared his vision, who moved in faith and focus. This was no accident. It was deliberate spiritual strategy. Andrew Carnegie likewise knew the power of counsel and the danger of negativity. He sought out men of clarity, conviction, and courage, men who would sharpen rather than dull his vision. The chosen man builds his counsel carefully, knowing that every word spoken in his presence shapes his destiny. Idle talk, gossip, and criticism are spiritual poison. They corrode faith, scatter focus, and drain energy. You are on assignment, a sacred mission that requires you to walk in silence at times and speak only to those who can carry your fire without extinguishing it. Beware the drift that begins with casual agreement with the wrong voices. It starts as small talk, but grows into toxic doubt and disobedience. You must be swift to cut away those who do not support your purpose. This is not cruelty, it is obedience to the laws of prosperity. Divine law cannot flourish in the soil of gossip, complaint, or distraction. If you wish to hold divine favor, you must choose solitude over noise, purpose over popularity. Your spiritual health demands it. Conduct an audit of your circle today. Who are the 5 people you speak to most? Do they lift you or pull you down? Do they multiply your vision or diminish your faith? Are they moving toward their own destiny or stuck in the mire of doubt? Speak your aim only to those who can carry it with faith and strength. Protect your purpose as you would protect a precious heirloom. It is the seed from which your future grows. You do not need a crowd. You need a covenant, a small sacred fellowship bound by shared purpose and mutual sharpening. 1 or 2 allies who will hold you accountable, spur you onward, and pray for your success. Say this now. I do not speak my vision to the blind. I protect the fire of my purpose. Let it be a vow that preserves your strength and your peace. You are no longer a casual friend to many. You are a steward of divine favor and spiritual power. And with stewardship comes responsibility. The company you keep is a decision of eternal consequence. Know this, the wrong association can undo decades of obedience and faith. The right association can accelerate your journey in ways you cannot yet imagine. Choose wisely. Guard jealously. Remember, the battle for your mind is the battle for your destiny. Those who control the mind control the life. Choose the voices you allow to echo in your mind as carefully as you choose what you eat or where you rest. Walk in silence when needed. Speak in clarity when required. Let your actions, not your words, testify to your purpose, and protect the anointing that has been placed upon you by the God of heaven. Now move with vigilance. Protect your peace. Guard your circle. And watch as divine favor shields you, guides you, and propels you forward. Discipline is the visible proof of faith in motion. The man who claims to believe but acts without structure is a man deceiving himself. Faith without obedience is merely wishful thinking. The chosen man knows that repeated obedience is what transforms desire into destiny. The power of repetition cannot be overstated. It is the chisel that carves character, the sculptor that forms habits, the seed that grows into unshakable conviction. Without repetition, the flame of purpose sputters and dies. With it, the fire becomes a roaring furnace. Say this aloud. My habits are holy. My rituals are sacred. I am building power through repetition. Make this your daily truth. Repeat it until the words take flesh in your actions. Look to the greats. John D. Rockefeller was a man of routines. He wrote his rules for success and reviewed them without fail. His evenings were a sacred time for reflection, planning, and reaffirmation. His success was no accident. It was habit made visible. Ritual is not dull routine. It is the heartbeat of a purposeful life. The chosen man rises early, reads with focus, prays with intent, and declares his definite chief aim daily. He plans, acts, reviews, and repeats. He does not depend on motivation, but on the sacred rhythm of habit. Build a morning ritual that aligns your spirit and sharpens your vision. Read words that uplift and instruct. Speak your aim aloud with emotion. Meditate in silence on your purpose. This daily alignment prepares your subconscious to obey your will. Your subconscious mind is a servant that obeys the commands you repeat with feeling. It does not distinguish between truth and fiction. It acts on repetition. Thus, what you say and do repeatedly becomes your reality. Create a daily habit of writing your chief aim. Speak it aloud morning and night. Record your progress and failures. Reflect without judgment, but with resolve. This is how the chosen train their mind, body, and spirit. Rituals must be unbreakable. No excuses, no exceptions. The man who allows deviation weakens his grip on destiny. He invites doubt and distraction. But the chosen man's word to himself is law. Obedience to ritual is obedience to divine law. Include a weekly ritual of deep review. Burn away failures, celebrate victories, renew your commitment. This keeps the spirit sharp and the path clear. The chosen man's calendar is a sacred text. Read and obey daily. Remember, destiny comes disguised as habit. The man who disciplines his days builds a fortress of power around his purpose. The man who drifts is undone by chaos and indecision. Without repetition, you are merely a passerby in your own life. With it, you become the master of your fate. Say again, I repeat what makes me strong until it is who I am. I am building wealth and power, one habit at a time. Your transformation is underway. Each repetition is a step deeper into your new identity. Do not stop. Do not pause. Keep walking the sacred circle until your old self is no more. This is the law of cosmic habit force. Repeated action charged with emotion becomes permanent. It forms character. It shapes destiny. The chosen man knows this and obeys accordingly. You are not trying to change. You are training your new self into existence. The time for waiting is over. The moment to act as the chosen man has arrived. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when others give their approval, but right now. You must step into your divine appointment without hesitation. Stop looking for evidence, signs, or confirmations outside.